Japan's Prime Minister has pledged his country's support to Southeast Asian nations in their disputes with China. Shinzo Abe said Japan will help the countries in the region control their borders and keep their sea and air routes open. And according to the Prime Minister, it's no longer possible for any country to secure its safety on its own. Indeed, just last month, Washington backed Tokyo in a key territorial dispute with Beijing, and the largest US naval fleet is currently docked in Japan. And finally, the Prime Minister condemned any efforts to destabilize the status quo in the region. So let's now take a look right now at what most of the current disputes in the Southeast Asia region are all about. So look here now. The area within the dotted red line shown here is what Beijing deems to be its historic heritage. This is the red line itself. States like Vietnam, Brunei, Malaysia and the Philippines are pushing their weight around to try to secure resources in the South China Sea. In fact, Indonesia and the Philippines have been upgrading their defense forces to counter any external risks. And political blogger Ryan Dawson thinks Japan's involvement is not about working towards stability, but rather about selling more arms.
The way he sold it to the public was to bolster security for smaller states such as Vietnam and the Philippines. But his real concerns are not to help them with their own border disputes. When you really look at it, it's all about weapon sales and arms shipments. They already shipped 10 patrol ships to promise to the Philippines. 3 have been delivered, and they're sending more to Vietnam and also to Indonesia. Shinzo Abe and his party and the Unity Party under it have been talking about amending the Constitution of Japan, Article 9, which already is being ignored greatly because Japan's defense force is definitely a military. It's the 6th largest military expenditure in the world. They have a huge navy, huge air force, but they have been prevented from selling armaments and joining in conflicts such as in Afghanistan or Iraq for the U.S. They can sell patrol ships and Coast Guard type vessels, but not what he really wants to sell, and that's his real agenda, is to amend Article 9, which I think would be a disaster. The U.S. supports the Japanese in this unquestionably, even if Japan might be right about some of its island disputes. That's not in the U.S.'s interest. The U.S. interest is to sell armaments and to contain China at any cost. Nobody would anticipate an actual war between Japan and China. That would be insane, but no, these things never happen on purpose. All it will take is one accident and you could have a much greater conflict.